You're in a meeting, someone drops a critical question about data insights, and within seconds, you provide a precise answer. No manual digging, no wasted time. That's the promise of Power BI Copilot and Microsoft Fabric's data agents working together. Want to know how it works? Stay with us.
You're listening to the End May 65 show, the ultimate podcast for all things Microsoft 365. Whether you're an IT pro, a power user, or just getting started, we break down the latest updates, share productivity tips, and dive deep into tools like Teams, SharePoint, Power BI, Power Platform, and more.
Every time we bring you real-world insights, expert interviews, and the stories that matter, helping you make the most out of your modern workplace. So grab your headphones, get comfortable, and let's unlock the full potential of Microsoft 365. This is the Master 65 show, where work gets smarter.
What are data agents and why do they matter? Imagine a tool that doesn't just retrieve your data but truly understands it. Context, connections, and all. This isn't a vision of the distant future. It's what Microsoft Fabric's data agents deliver today. But if you're asking why does this matter, well, let's break it down. Data agents represent a leap forward in how we approach data analytics. While Power BI Copilot focuses on simplifying data reporting and visualization, data agents are wired to handle something much more complex: reasoning. Think about how, in an organization, data often lives in silos: lakehouses, warehouses, semantic models, and more. Each silo tells one piece of the story, but alone, none provide the full picture. A traditional Copilot tool might pull a chart or summarize data within one of those silos, but what happens when the answer to your question requires pulling threads from several sources? That's where the limitations show. Let's look at a common scenario. Say your company's sales team wants to analyze quarterly performance across regions. The data might exist in a lakehouse for raw information, a warehouse for aggregated stats, and a semantic model to connect that data with specific dimensions, like performance relative to each salesperson's target. Without a tool capable of reasoning across all three environments, you'd need to switch between systems, do manual integration, or rely heavily on IT teams to pull a custom report. In short, time wasted and decisions delayed. It's not just theoretical. Research underscores how siloed data directly impacts business efficiency. Studies around data access in enterprises confirm organizations lose countless hours wrangling fragmented information stored in incompatible formats or isolated platforms. Decisions rooted in incomplete insights often lead to missed opportunities or inconsistent strategies. Even with tools like Power BI Copilot, the lack of unified access holds users back from extracting real value, and that's precisely the problem data agents are built to solve. Here's how they shift the paradigm. As part of Microsoft Fabric, data agents integrate directly with OneLake, a foundational layer we'll explore in depth shortly. Within this unified data environment, data agents are capable of analyzing relationships among data types regardless of origin. This might mean identifying patterns across structured, semi-structured, or even unstructured data. The point is they don't just read tables, they understand how data pieces connect. For example, if your revenue report points to an unexpected change in profits, a traditional tool might simply display the numbers. Data agents, however, could identify that this drop correlates with a supply chain disruption logged elsewhere in your system, all without manual intervention. What sets this apart is the shift from mere data retrieval to true reasoning. This isn't just a Power BI dashboard on steroids, it's a layer of intelligent synthesis weaving everything together. And it addresses one of the most persistent frustrations for data professionals, needing to evaluate multiple data sets simultaneously in search of actionable insights. With data agents, users can ask a single question spanning various ecosystems instead of splitting it into fragmented queries. This keeps the focus where it belongs, on analysis and decision-making, not overcoming technical barriers. If we go even deeper, a revolutionary aspect of data agents is how they level the playing field. In traditional scenarios, only technical users might have the expertise to work through siloed systems or create integrations. But data agents make this capability accessible to everyone. Whether you approach it with natural language or specific query input, the agent works behind the scenes to weave together answers that consider all relevant information from across your organization. That means faster results, no specialized skill sets required. Now let's make this a bit more tangible. Picture a marketing manager trying to understand conversion rates across 4 product categories over the past 6 months. The warehouse might have the raw sales data. The lakehouse could store customer behavior metrics in its rawest form. And then there's a semantic model that layers demographic trends on top of this data. Using a standalone tool like PowerBI Copilot, the manager might require manual intervention from IT or separate queries into each system, producing fragmented reports to stitch together later. Data agents, however, reason across all these points to provide one holistic view. On top of that, they don't lose context. If the manager refines the question further, say drilling into just one product category, the agent adjusts seamlessly, dynamically narrowing the scope while staying consistent across sources. So how do data agents manage all of this? The secret lies in their integration with a core framework within Microsoft Fabric OneLake. Think of OneLake as the bedrock. Because all data formats are standardized within this architecture, data agents no longer wrestle with translation between fragmented systems. Instead, they access a shared foundation in the Open Delta Parquet format, enabling their reasoning capabilities to reach their full potential. This eliminates many of the roadblocks businesses traditionally face with incompatible data systems. It also ensures that when data agents analyze your information, they're working with a more complete and consistent data set. If traditional Copilot tools felt like a digital assistant simplifying tasks you'd normally do yourself, data agents take the role of a collaborator with actual intuition, analyzing what you need, where to find it, and how to piece it together. This leap in functionality is why many see them as the next evolution of business intelligence. And yet, you can't overlook how essential the foundation is. Without OneLake acting as a unified source, even the most advanced reasoning tool couldn't bridge the gap between siloed systems. That's exactly what we're going to unpack next. How OneLake makes this seamless data access not just possible, but practical. The power of OneLake, a unified data source. What if you could bring every piece of data you have, regardless of its format or where it's stored, into a single unified space? That's the promise of OneLake, the backbone of Microsoft Fabric. It's designed to eliminate the chaos of managing fragmented data by creating a system where all your information is accessible from one place. And the magic is in how it simplifies not only storage, but also how data is used, shared, and analyzed. Let's start with what makes OneLake so unique. At its core, it's built on an Open Delta Parquet format. This might sound technical, but it's actually a simple idea with huge implications. Most organizations store their data in different formats, some optimized for certain tools, others for specific platforms, and these formats often don't play nicely together. But the Delta Parquet format changes that. It's like speaking a shared language that every tool within Fabric can instantly understand. This consistency means that no matter which part of Fabric you're using, whether it's Power BI, Synapse, or Data Factory, all these tools see and interact with your data the same way. And because the format is open, there's no vendor lock-in. If you decide to use external tools outside of Fabric, the data remains fully compatible. This foundational design tackles a problem that has plagued businesses for years: fragmented data. Companies are often swamped with information stored across multiple systems. Lakehouses for big data analytics, warehouses for structured reporting, and semantic models for layering business logic. Let's take a fictional company, for example. Imagine a retail business trying to prepare a report on quarterly sales trends. Their raw transaction data might sit in a cloud storage lakehouse, detailed reports may live in a warehouse, and a semantic model might apply filters like region, product, category, and time frame. Traditionally, they'd have to pull from each of these sources separately, convert formats, and deal with inconsistencies in how the data lined up. Sound familiar? It's a massive drain on time and resources. Here's where OneLake transforms that process. It acts as a hub, standardizing how data is stored. But it doesn't just stop there. It also allows data from external cloud platforms like AWS or Google Cloud to be accessed smoothly through shortcuts. These shortcuts don't force you to migrate your data. Instead, they let you work with it as if it's part of the OneLake environment. To put it simply, it's like having all the benefits of centralization without the hassle of relocation. This means even if your data leaves across Azure, AWS, or Google Cloud, OneLake brings it all together into one seamless experience. And if your data is already organized in the Delta Parquet format outside of Fabric, you can query it directly, treating it as though it's sitting within OneLake itself. For companies juggling multi-cloud strategies, this is more than just a convenience, it's a game changer. Let's talk efficiency. When data is scattered, teams spend an enormous amount of time just trying to locate it, let alone make sense of it. A 2022 study found that data professionals spend upwards of 80% of their time cleaning and preparing data rather than analyzing it. That's like spending most of your time at work gathering tools instead of actually building something. With OneLake, this tedious preparation is drastically reduced because everything you need is in one place in the same format, ready to be accessed. This not only saves time, but eliminates many of the errors that arise from manual handling of data. But the real power of OneLake becomes clear when paired with data agents. Think of OneLake as the foundation and data agents as the architects who understand how to bring everything into focus. With all data standardized and accessible, data agents no longer face the challenges that come with fragmented systems. They can instantly tap into the unified structure of OneLake to analyze, connect, and reason across data types. For example, if you're trying to figure out why sales in one region are outperforming another, you could tap into sales transactions, customer feedback, and marketing spend, all stored in OneLake. And the data agent can connect the dots for you in a matter of seconds. Without OneLake as the backbone, this kind of instant reasoning wouldn't be possible. Imagine another scenario, a health organization managing patient data. Their financial audits are stored in a warehouse. Raw research data sits in a lakehouse. Operations data for outpatient services is layered in a semantic model. In the past, a single question about operational efficiency required coordinated input from analysts across all these departments. Data had to be copied, moved, harmonized, and finally processed for analysis. With OneLake, those barriers disappear. The unified design means all this data is instantly available, and because everything speaks the same language through Delta Parquet formatting, interpreting multiple datasets becomes frictionless. When paired with data agents, this system doesn't just aggregate data, it provides answers rooted in the relationships at play between these sources. The fact that OneLake supports multi-cloud data access is a critical advantage in this era of hybrid ecosystems. Organizations are rarely, if ever, tied to one platform anymore. They might store historical records in Azure, but also utilize tools or platforms housed on AWS or Google Cloud. OneLake's shortcut system means you don't have to pick one over the other. The data you need is just there, accessible as though it were local, no complicated migration needed. It's an approach that minimizes disruptions and allows companies to keep their existing systems while benefiting from Fabric's capabilities. Of course, standardization like this brings more than just convenience. It opens the door for more accurate analytics. Inconsistent formats and mismatched schemas are some of the leading causes of unreliable analyses in businesses. Two departments might even present entirely different conclusions simply because their data came from sources that weren't properly harmonized. That's not just inefficient, it can lead to costly mistakes. OneLake ensures everyone is working from the same playbook, removing discrepancies at the root and making sure every insight is based on consistent, reliable data. The decision to build OneLake around Delta Parquet also reflects Microsoft's commitment to flexibility. Since the format is open, companies aren't locked into using Microsoft tools. This keeps the data itself future-proof. If new platforms or tools appear outside the Fabric ecosystem, organizations can adopt them seamlessly while continuing to run their operations through OneLake. This flexibility isn't just practical, it's a safeguard against technological shifts that might otherwise require expensive overhauls. So how does OneLake tie everything together with data agents? By ensuring every piece of data is visible, accessible, and connected, it allows data agents to focus on answering the why instead of getting stuck on the how. Without OneLake, you'd still need to manage the complexities of accessing and preparing your data. With OneLake in place, those hurdles are handled behind the scenes, leaving data agents free to do what they're designed for, helping you make informed decisions faster. As we dive deeper into the mechanics, remember this. OneLake isn't just storage, it's a bridge connecting every corner of your data landscape, turning fragmented silos into a cohesive, usable whole. And with this foundation set, data agents can leverage their reasoning capabilities to provide insights that were once impossible to uncover. That's where the real potential lies, tools that don't just store data, but actively translate it into something meaningful. Next, we're going to explore exactly how data agents use this unified access to reason across millions of rows of data, seamlessly pulling insights from complex ecosystems. This is the step where all the groundwork comes to life, so you'll want to see how it works in action. Let's take a closer look. How data agents reason across data types. How does a tool reason through millions of rows of data, spread across different systems, and still deliver the exact answer you need? It's not magic, it's the core design of data agents, and what makes them so impactful is their ability to analyze and interpret relationships within data stored in OneLake. They're not just pulling numbers, they're connecting dots across lakehouses, warehouses, semantic models, and beyond, turning isolated pieces into a cohesive story. At the heart of this capability is OneLake itself. As we established earlier, OneLake doesn't just store data, it standardizes it. This structure makes it possible for data agents to communicate seamlessly with data sources that would traditionally require separate tools and specialized expertise to query. Imagine you're managing an e-commerce business. Your product inventory, sales transactions, and customer reviews are scattered, one in a lakehouse, another in a warehouse, and yet another translated into a semantic model. These layers are often treated as unrelated by traditional tools because combining them requires advanced technical effort. But data agents, they're built to reason across all three simultaneously, synthesizing data without stopping to reconcile differences in format or access points. What's impressive is their ability to handle this complexity efficiently. Normally, a request involving multiple data sources would require extensive manual intervention, identifying the relevant datasets, extracting the parts you need, running individual queries, and finally stitching everything together to make sense of it. Even then, you might miss insights hidden in the interplay between datasets. A data agent can cut through all of that. For instance, if you're troubleshooting a sudden drop in sales in a specific region, it can query transactional data from a warehouse, cross-reference customer behavior metrics stored in a lakehouse, and layer on demographic insights from a semantic model, all in a single request. It doesn't just give you the numbers, it explains patterns like whether the sales dip coincided with a regional change in customer preferences or a supply chain delay. What makes this possible is the AI-driven algorithms working behind the scenes. Unlike older systems that rely purely on basic operations like filtering and grouping, these agents operate with a layer of intelligence. They use tools like natural language to SQL, DAX, and KQL to interpret your request and figure out the best way to extract answers. If you've ever typed a query into a BI tool and been disappointed with vague or overly simplified results, you'll appreciate this. The intelligence of these algorithms isn't just in retrieving the data, it's in understanding the meaning behind your question. Let's say you ask for revenue changes by region for the last 6 months. Data agents can identify what region means in the context of your organization, whether it's linked to geography, sales districts, or even marketing sectors. Where standalone tools might get lost in ambiguity, data agents work through the context to ensure the results are specific and relevant to your needs. However, reasoning isn't just about answering individual queries. It's also about synthesizing relationships that might not be obvious on the surface. Think of a healthcare provider tracking patient outcomes after introducing a new treatment protocol. The clinical data might sit in a lakehouse, survey feedback from patients could be structured in a warehouse, and operational data, for instance, staffing levels during the period, could be wrapped into a semantic model. These are wildly different types of data, and traditionally they'd require separate analyses to gain even surface-level insights. A data agent, on the other hand, has the ability to reason across these data types simultaneously. Its algorithms identify relationships like whether trends in patient outcomes match staffing changes. This isn't possible without semantic understanding layered into how the agent interprets your data. Semantic understanding specifically is what allows data agents to deliver results that are not just accurate but immediately actionable. Semantic models in OneLake don't just store data, they add meaningful structure to it. They define things like hierarchies, metrics, and relationships between different data points. For example, instead of treating sales as just a column in a table, the model knows it can roll up into broader categories like product categories, regions, and even yearly trends. Data agents leverage these models to bridge the gap between your questions and the raw data itself. This is critical when you're dealing with complex queries that require piecing together information from different sources. For example, a financial controller might ask, how did regional operating costs impact our profit margins last quarter? On the surface, this request seems straightforward, but answering it would require diving into multiple data sets. Operating costs might be detailed in a warehouse, profit margins might be calculated within semantic models, and regional breakdowns might live in other hierarchies across a lakehouse. A standalone Copilot tool might struggle to synthesize all of this. It might pull results from one source but miss the connections that tie everything together. A data agent, however, reasons across the data sets. It understands how operating costs link to profit margins via semantic structures and how regions interact with both. And instead of giving you raw numbers, it provides an actionable insight like shipping costs in region A increased by 15%, which contributed to a 10% drop in overall profit margins. The real strength of reasoning comes into play when context changes midstream. Let's say that financial controller wants to dive further into specific costs, maybe labor expenses in region B. Because the data agent integrates tightly with OneLake and understands the relationships defined in semantic models, it can narrow the scope dynamically without losing context. Traditional approaches often require users to manually redefine their queries or rely on significant back and forth with a technical team to refine results. Context-aware refinement isn't just convenient, it's vital for modern decision-making. Businesses today need answers quickly, but they also need those answers to reflect both the big picture and the granular details. Data agents, by reasoning across vast and diverse datasets, allow users to ask that follow-up question or drill deeper into a specific subset of data seamlessly. Their semantic understanding ensures every drill down keeps the integrity of the initial query intact. The power of these tools extends into predictive insights. While standard analytics tell you what happened, reasoning tools like data agents are designed to explore why it happened and even what might happen next. By analyzing historical trends stored in one lake and reasoning through the factors that influence them, they can begin to suggest predictive scenarios. For instance, a retailer trying to plan inventory might ask what products are likely to run out of stock during the next holiday season. Here, the data agent can reason across inventory levels, historical sales trends, and forecasted customer demand based on marketing promotions or economic data feeds. So, what does all of this mean in practice? It comes down to closing the gap between insight and action. Businesses typically lose time and productivity trying to consolidate fragmented information across systems, and that cuts into their ability to make timely decisions. Data agents with their reasoning capabilities flip that dynamic. By synthesizing data from multiple sources, they provide immediate clarity that not only saves time but can also reveal opportunities you might otherwise miss. Whether you're analyzing revenue trends, operational inefficiencies, or customer behaviors, the ability to integrate and reason across diverse data sets empowers faster, more informed actions, and this power doesn't exist in isolation. Data agents don't just work on their own, they integrate directly with Copilot in Power BI, where their reasoning abilities enhance your ability to interact naturally with data. By allowing natural language queries to tap into this depth of reasoning, the integration transforms how users at every level approach their data. Now, instead of building dashboards from scratch or pulling piecemeal reports, you can ask Copilot a single conversational question and get a response that reflects the deep reasoning power of data agents. So far, we've looked at how data agents manage complexity and make sense of it, but what happens when this capability is paired with Copilot's intuitive interface? That's where the experience becomes seamless. A toolset that combines powerful reasoning with effortless usability. Let's explore this next. The integration. Data agents meet Copilot in Power BI. What happens when intuitive AI meets a unified data agent? The answer is a completely redefined approach to data analysis. The integration of data agents with Power BI Copilot isn't just a feature, it's a shift in how users interact with their data. By combining the natural language capabilities of Copilot with the reasoning power of data agents, users gain a tool that doesn't just understand their questions, but can dive across multiple datasets to provide meaningful answers. And it does all this without requiring users to learn technical skills or juggle disconnected systems. Let's break down how this works. At its core, Power BI Copilot allows users to interact with their data using natural language. Instead of setting up complex queries or manually building visualizations, you can simply ask a question like, what were this year's sales trends in the Northeast region? Copilot processes the request and translates it into a meaningful output, perhaps a chart, a summary table, or even a natural language explanation. But standalone Copilot has its boundaries. Its effectiveness depends on the data immediately available to it, often restricted to singular datasets that need to be prepped in advance. This can make it challenging to answer broader questions requiring data pulled from multiple sources. One of the biggest frustrations users encounter with standalone tools is that they often oversimplify complex queries. Copilot on its own might give you part of the answer, but if the question touches on data stored in different systems, say sales trends in one database and customer returns in another, it might not provide the full picture. That's where data agents step in. Data agents extend Copilot's reach across one lake, allowing it to query and analyze information from diverse sources in real time. By layering on the reasoning capabilities of data agents, Power BI Copilot becomes far more flexible and insightful, capable of delivering nuanced answers that reflect the complexity of real-world business questions. For example, imagine a business manager trying to plan staffing for the upcoming holiday season. They ask Copilot, how did holiday sales performance compare across regions last year, and how did staffing levels impact store revenue during that time? Without data agents, this query would likely be split into distinct parts. Sales data might live in a warehouse, staffing schedules could be in a separate system, and regional comparisons might require manual cross-referencing. But with data agents, Copilot can access and reason through all these sources in one step. It retrieves the sales data, correlates it with scheduling information, and identifies patterns such as regions where staffing reductions led to decreased revenue. Instead of piecing together isolated insights, the user gets a holistic answer built from all the relevant data points. The key to this dynamic capability lies in how data agents enhance Copilot's ability to retrieve and interpret complex data. While Copilot focuses on the user-facing side, making the interaction feel intuitive, data agents operate behind the scenes to navigate the intricate web of data connections stored in one lake. They enable Copilot to move beyond the confines of individual datasets, instead pulling together information stored across lakehouses, warehouses, and semantic models. This expanded access means that when a user asks a seemingly simple question, Copilot can leverage the full power of data agents to understand the question's context, find the necessary data, and reason through the relationships between those datasets. The result? A more complete and actionable response. To illustrate the difference, let's return to an earlier example. A retail business analyzing quarterly performance. If you ask Copilot which product categories drove the highest profits last quarter, and how did discounts impact those sales? The reasoning power of data agents transforms the query into a multifaceted exploration. It pulls profit figures from warehouse data, filters for product categories stored in a semantic model, and analyzes discount trends stored as raw information in a lakehouse. Then it synthesizes all this data into an answer that might not only identify the profit drivers, but also highlight that excessive discounting reduced margins on key products. This level of detail isn't just useful, it enables users to act quickly and confidently based on a full picture understanding. The integration between Copilot and data agents doesn't just enhance usability, it fundamentally changes how decisions are made. A survey revealed that Copilot users completed data analysis tasks 52% faster and retrieved insights 36% more accurately compared to traditional workflows. And because natural language queries are at the heart of the experience, more people across an organization can access insights without needing specialized training. Whether it's executives making strategic decisions or managers solving day-to-day problems, the combined functionality of Copilot and data agents empowers them to explore and understand their data in ways that weren't possible before. In fact, 90% of users who tested Copilot said they'd use it again, confirming the value of this seamless interaction. What's especially compelling is how naturally the collaboration between these tools unfolds. Users don't have to think about the underlying mechanics, about how data agents are connecting to multiple sources or reconciling formats. Instead, they simply interact with Copilot as they normally would, and the system handles the complexity in the background. Need a report on monthly trends? Done. Want to refine the scope to focus on a specific region? Adjustments happen instantly. By removing technical barriers, the integration allows users to focus on insights rather than logistics. The impact of this collaboration can also be seen in how businesses adapt their workflows. Consider an international logistics company working to identify inefficiencies in delivery times. A typical approach might involve manual work to consolidate shipping logs, traffic reports, and customer complaints from different regions into a coherent dataset. By integrating Copilot with data agents, however, the company can automate these steps. The user could ask a question as broad as which regions experienced the highest delivery delays last quarter and what were the root causes. In seconds, Copilot provides an answer powered by data agents' ability to synthesize data across disparate systems. It might reveal that delays were concentrated in certain urban areas due to recurring warehouse bottlenecks, a pattern that would otherwise have been difficult and time-consuming to uncover. Efficiency aside, another strength of this integration is the way it scales. Organizations with sprawling data architectures often struggle to ensure consistent access to insights across departments. Finance might have one system, sales another, and marketing yet another, all siloed despite interconnected goals. Copilot, enhanced by data agents, bridges these divides. By enabling natural language queries that consider data from multiple systems, it doesn't just make analysis faster, it aligns teams with consistent organization-wide insights. This alignment is often the difference between strategies that succeed and those that fall apart due to conflicting data interpretations. While the integration delivers immediate benefits, it also raises important considerations about customization. Different organizations have unique data environments and distinct questions they need answered. The real challenge lies in configuring data agents to effectively mirror an organization's specific needs while maintaining seamless compatibility with Copilot. This customization is where the full value of the integration comes to life, when users can tailor their agents to focus on the metrics and relationships that matter most to their business. Ultimately, the integration between PowerBI Copilot and data agents is more than just a convenience feature. It's a rethinking of how data is accessed, reasoned through, and acted upon. By marrying intuitive interactions with advanced reasoning capabilities, Microsoft Fabric provides a toolset that doesn't just respond to user queries, but actively empowers smarter, faster decision-making. The days of fragmented workflows and partial insights are giving way to an era defined by seamless collaboration between AI-driven systems and human users. Now that we've explored how data agents elevate Copilot's capabilities, the next step is understanding how to configure these agents for your specific needs. After all, even the most powerful tools require setup that reflects your organization's unique challenges and goals. Let's take a closer look at how you can teach your data agents to work with your business. Configuring your data agent for success. How do you teach a data agent to truly understand the unique needs of your business? This is where configuration comes into play, and while the process is carefully designed to be straightforward, there's a lot of room to customize and fine-tune how the agent performs. The ultimate goal is to ensure your data agent delivers precise, actionable insights that align with the complexities of your specific workflow. To start, configuring a data agent begins with its creation within Microsoft Fabric. Data agents are treated as first-class citizens in Fabric, meaning they're integrated deeply into the ecosystem from the moment they're set up. This initial setup not only streamlines how agents work, but it also establishes important elements like lineage tracking and permissions. For businesses, this means transparency and security are baked right into the process. Knowing where data originates and how it's being accessed is critical, especially for organizations dealing with sensitive information or regulatory requirements. This setup phase ensures that the data agent operates within secure, predefined boundaries while still having access to the multiple sources it needs to reason across. Once the foundational setup is complete, the next step is deciding what data sources the agent will connect to. This is where the power of Fabric's unified system shines. You can pull in data from semantic models, lakehouses, warehouses, and even event streams. This combination allows the data agent to span across diverse data landscapes seamlessly. For example, you might configure the agent to access customer transaction data in a lakehouse while also connecting it to inventory records stored in a warehouse. By linking these sources, the agent gains the contextual knowledge needed to answer complex questions like how inventory delays impacted customer purchases. This multi-source reasoning is what sets a data agent apart from traditional data tools. But the configuration process goes further than just connecting data sources. Next, you begin instructing the agent on how to handle queries. This step, often called prompt engineering, is where you provide the agent with natural language instructions that guide its reasoning process. For example, if you want your agent to prioritize accuracy over speed in decision-making, you can build that into its design. You can also include instructions to ensure context is applied correctly, such as teaching the agent about seasonal trends or market-specific conditions. A retail business might specify that holiday sales apply to the months of November and December, along with key promotional weeks, to ensure consistency in answers. These added instructions prevent vague or mismatched responses, making the agent's output both relevant and reliable. Example queries are another critical piece of the puzzle. By providing the agent with specific queries during configuration, you're essentially showing it how to handle certain types of requests. For instance, if you run a logistics company, you might train the agent to interpret a query like, "What were the top 3 reasons for delayed shipments last quarter?" This might involve processing data from several sources, weather events in an event house, transportation schedules in a warehouse, and delivery complaints in a semantic model. You can write example queries that guide the agent through these steps, ensuring it retrieves the right data and synthesizes it properly. Over time, this process helps refine how the agent behaves, making it better equipped to handle both straightforward and nuanced requests. Beyond example queries, you also have the ability to control what the data agent sees. During the configuration phase, you can fine-tune access by selecting specific schemas within your connected data sources. This determines which columns or fields the agent can access and which are off-limits. Let's say you're working with employee data. It's important to ensure personally identifiable information like salaries or social security numbers isn't unnecessarily exposed. By carefully selecting what Copilot has access to, you maintain security while keeping the agent focused on relevant datasets. This control also prevents the agent from returning irrelevant or misleading information, which is important when summary-level answers need to reflect only key data points. To make the agent even smarter, you can apply something called verified answers. This feature allows you to predefine certain responses to specific questions, locking in both the visualization and the data it uses. For instance, if you manage a sales team and know your quarterly sales review always requires the same report, you can configure the agent to produce that report consistently whenever it's requested. Verified answers also create a smoother experience for users who may not want to adjust filters or settings every time they interact with the data. Instead, they get a controlled, repeatable outcome, efficient yet accurate. But customization can also introduce challenges. One of the biggest hurdles businesses face during configuration is ensuring the agent doesn't just give answers, but delivers answers that make sense in the context of their specific operations. Without proper setup, there's a risk of output that's either too generic or slightly misaligned with business priorities. For example, if your business operates across multiple regions with varying peak seasons, an unconfigured agent might treat all regions equally, leading to insights that overlook critical local trends. That's why the inclusion of contextual instructions, like defining what constitutes busy season for each region, is so vital. It ensures the agent applies the right logic to your data. A great real-world example of this would be a company in the hospitality industry setting up an agent to optimize revenue management. Their data might include factors like seasonal booking patterns in a lakehouse, customer demographics in a warehouse, and local event calendars in a semantic model. By giving the agent specific example queries, such as which customer demographics booked stays around events last year, and including AI instructions such as highlighting dates tied to major festivals, they can make sure the insights the agent returns are actionable. This approach helps the company predict booking demand and price rooms more effectively. Best practices also play a big role when fine-tuning the configuration. Research shows that multi-step AI models like data agents perform best when they're guided with clearly defined instructions and contextually relevant queries. Studies have found that intentional prompt engineering, where the agent is taught specific, detailed reasoning paths, significantly improves its ability to retrieve accurate results. For instance, when handling customer loyalty data stored in a semantic model and sales data stored in a lakehouse, an agent that's been guided with example queries can perform what's known as AI-level joins. This means it can retrieve customer details from one source while correlating that information with specific transaction data from another. For businesses aiming to get the most out of their data agents, the flexibility of configurations opens up broader applications. These agents aren't just for one-off queries. They can be designed as dynamic intelligent systems that evolve alongside your organization. As new data sets enter your ecosystem or as old ones are retired, you can update your agent's instructions and example queries to reflect changes. Over time, this adaptability ensures your agent stays aligned with your goals, from automating recurring reports to surfacing previously unnoticed patterns. The final step in the configuration process is publishing the data agent. Once published, the agent generates an endpoint that makes deployment simple. This endpoint allows seamless integration with other tools in Microsoft Fabric, such as AI Foundry or Copilot Studio. It's at this stage that the agent becomes a ready-to-use part of your workflows, accessible by users across the organization. This publishing step also includes versioning, which means if you make changes to the agent after it's live, you can maintain control over how updates are rolled out. This versioning feature ensures minimal disruption while still giving you the flexibility to improve your setup as your business grows. In the end, configuring a data agent is all about balance. It's about giving the agent enough context and guidance to understand your business's unique needs without overloading it with too many specific rules that limit its flexibility. A well-configured agent not only saves time but also scales with your organization, adapting to new challenges while consistently delivering precise, actionable insights. Now that you have a configured data agent ready to deliver results, the next step is knowing how to interact with it. With multiple interfaces available, from Fabric to Copilot Studio, how do you decide which one works best for different scenarios? Let's explore those access points next. Accessing data agents, interfaces, and tools. Did you know you can interact with data agents through more than just Power BI? Most users tend to think of tools like Power BI as their primary entry point into understanding and visualizing data. But with data agents, Microsoft Fabric offers multiple interfaces tailored to different workflows and technical needs. Choosing the right one can make all the difference in how effectively you can harness the full potential of your agents. Let's start with the Fabric interface. If you're already working within the Fabric ecosystem, this will likely feel like home base. Fabric integrates data agents directly into its environment so users can manage and interact with them alongside their regular workflows. What makes this interface particularly useful is that it's designed to be simple and unified. Everything is in one place. You can discover agents within your workspace, configure them, and get to work without having to jump between separate platforms or applications. For example, consider a sales department analyzing customer buying trends over the past year. With Fabric's direct integration, the team can easily access their agent, feed it relevant queries, and pull insights directly into dashboards or reports they're already building, all without leaving the environment they're most familiar with. Now, what if you're working on something more advanced, like building AI solutions that go beyond typical reporting? That's where AI Foundry comes into play. AI Foundry is designed to target more technical users or teams looking to embed data agents into larger AI workflows. Beyond handling simple ad hoc queries, it allows developers to create sophisticated AI applications by combining the reasoning capabilities of data agents with other advanced tools or machine learning models. One of its standout features is the ability to expand what your data agent can do, for instance, linking it directly with real-time data streams or external APIs for even more complex challenges. Imagine a logistics company monitoring supply chain disruptions in real time. By leveraging AI Foundry, they could set up their data agent to process live updates from shipping routes, correlate them with historical delay patterns, and provide predictive insights, helping make decisions faster and more effectively. AI Foundry adds layers of flexibility, making it much more than just a tool for reactive analysis. It becomes a driver for proactive solutions. Then there's Copilot Studio, an interface designed for maximum accessibility and ease of use. Copilot Studio simplifies what could otherwise feel complex and makes these advanced tools approachable even for non-technical users. Its no-code environment means you don't need to write complex scripts or deal with intricate setup processes to bring a data agent into your workflows. One of Copilot Studio's most popular features is its ability to support direct integration with Microsoft Teams. This is especially powerful for organizations that rely heavily on collaborative tools for operations. For instance, a marketing manager can configure a data agent within Copilot Studio to answer routine questions like, which campaigns drove the highest ROI last quarter? Once the agent is published to Teams, anyone on the team can interact with it using natural language, even if they've never used Power BI or worked in Fabric. The question then becomes, with so many options, how do you know which interface works best for your specific needs? Sometimes choosing the right one feels overwhelming, especially if you're not clear on how each option fits different scenarios. Let's break it down with a few examples to help clarify. If you're someone who spends most of your time in analytics, building dashboards, or working with data that's already organized within Fabric, then the Fabric interface will likely be the most efficient choice. It allows you to stay in a single platform as you move from query to insight to report building. Let's say a retail company wants its finance team to analyze profit margins across multiple product categories. By using the Fabric interface, the finance team can query the data agent, get answers, and visualize the results on a single page, streamlining a process that would otherwise require juggling multiple tools. Now, if you're tackling a broader AI initiative, you might turn to AI Foundry instead. A great example here might be a research organization developing predictive models for climate impact. They could use AI Foundry to integrate their data agent with third-party weather data sources and then combine that information with machine learning algorithms to project outcomes. The interface's flexibility enables these teams to design agentic workflows tailored to solving highly complex domain-specific problems. For teams focused on day-to-day collaboration, Copilot Studio is likely the best choice. Its simplicity makes it accessible to a wider audience, letting team members deploy and use data agents directly from apps like Teams without requiring technical training. Imagine an HR team working on employee satisfaction metrics. They might not have experience analyzing data, but with a data agent set up in Copilot Studio, they could ask questions like, what departments reported the highest satisfaction rates this year? And receive detailed contextual answers without leaving their workspace. This seamless integration removes technical barriers and ensures collaboration stays intuitive. These examples highlight one of the most significant advantages of having multiple interfaces: flexibility. No matter your role or technical expertise, there's a way to access and use data agents that fits your workflow. More importantly, these tools are designed to complement each other, so you don't have to pick just one. For instance, an organization could configure a data agent in Fabric, integrate it with AI Foundry for predictive modeling, and then publish it to teams using Copilot Studio. This layered approach ensures everyone, from technical developers to business managers, can interact with the agent in ways that make the most sense for their needs. The benefits of this accessibility extend beyond individual usage to how teams collaborate across departments. By offering a variety of touchpoints, Microsoft Fabric enables organizations to break down silos between technical and non-technical teams. Data scientists, analysts, and operational managers can all interact with the same data agent, but through interfaces tailored to their skills and responsibilities. This shared capability encourages better communication and alignment, since everyone has access to the same insights, albeit delivered in different formats. A marketing team might prefer the quick answers provided in Teams, while a data engineering team leverages the technical depth of AI Foundry. Both groups are pulling from the same agent, which ensures consistency across insights. What's also worth considering is how these access points cater to scalability. As companies grow, their data needs become more complex, requiring tools capable of adjusting alongside them. For example, a mid-sized company starting with just Fabric might find that over time it needs advanced capabilities offered in AI Foundry, especially as predictive algorithms or advanced data sources come into play. Alternatively, an organization focused on user-friendly collaboration might begin with Copilot Studio and later adopt Fabric as it expands its analytics team. The ability to scale between these interfaces ensures that businesses aren't locked into one way of working. They can evolve their workflows as their priorities shift. Ultimately, choosing the right interface is less about which tool is better and more about which one fits the scenario you're tackling. The Fabric interface offers simplicity and integration for those working directly with data models. AI Foundry provides advanced functionality for complex AI-driven tasks, and Copilot Studio creates a user-friendly space for collaboration and ease of access. Understanding the strengths of each ensures you're not only leveraging the data agents effectively, but also getting the most out of the broader Microsoft Fabric ecosystem. Now, having looked at how flexible and accessible these interfaces are, the next logical step is to explore what happens when data agents are put to the test in real-world scenarios. What can they really do that standalone tools can't? Stay tuned as we dive into examples that demonstrate the transformative power of these agents in action. Real-world scenarios, data agents in action. What do data agents bring to the table that standalone Copilot can't? To answer that, let's move beyond internal mechanics and look at real-world scenarios where data agents tackle challenges that traditional tools simply can't handle. From managing multi-source complex datasets to scaling insights across entire organizations, data agents redefine what's possible in modern analytics. One challenge that many organizations face is accessing unified insights when data lives across disconnected systems. Let's start by looking at NTT Data, a global IT services company. They dealt with fragmented data linked to managing headcounts and timesheets across their sprawling operations. These two areas involve data spread across different departments, formats, and even regions, which meant basic analytics tools like standalone PowerBI Copilot struggled to provide meaningful insights. By deploying separate data agents for each area, NTT Data improved accuracy and eliminated inconsistencies. These agents interpreted and connected their data in ways that made operational inefficiencies more visible. With this shift, NTT Data moved beyond just reporting numbers. Now they achieve advanced data reasoning, giving them reliable insights for smarter decisions. What's compelling about this example is that it highlights how data agents allow data teams to focus on what matters, understanding trends and correlations, rather than wasting time merging datasets or running repetitive manual calculations. These scenarios reveal something critical. Traditional tools often assume your data is clean, unified, and ready to query, but that's rarely the case. Take the city of Oslo as another example. Local administrators like kindergarten managers used to rely on over 25 different systems just to gather the data they needed for routine decision-making. Data agents working within the Microsoft Fabric infrastructure provided a game-changing solution. By building a unified view through Fabric, the city ensured that all relevant datasets connected in one place. The result, these managers who previously couldn't easily access or interpret data themselves now get instant insights without needing technical expertise. This isn't just about improving workflows, it's about empowering non-technical users to finally take full advantage of their organization's data. Suddenly, insights that were previously locked away in multiple silos are accessible to an entirely new audience. It's worth pausing here to consider the limitations of a standalone approach. PowerBI Copilot, for example, is an excellent tool for understanding data within a specific workspace or dataset, but real-world questions rarely stay inside those boundaries. When working across diverse data systems, standalone Copilot struggles because it lacks the ability to reason across multiple sources at once. This is a significant issue in government scenarios, just like Oslo's. Before agents were implemented, each department's decisions were based on narrow pieces of information, financial metrics here, operational stats there, rather than having a fully connected overview. This fractured approach left room for oversight and inefficiency. Agents, by creating cohesion where there was once fragmentation, eliminate this issue. In Oslo, it's not just a faster process, it's a better informed one. Another concrete example comes from Finastra, a leading fintech company operating in the financial services space. Their marketing team faced a particular roadblock. They relied heavily on Power BI specialists to interpret data, slowing down their ability to adapt and strategize. Implementing Power BI Copilot significantly streamlined that workflow by allowing team members to ask direct questions and receive prompt results. But the real leap forward came when Copilot was paired with reasoning support from data agents. For example, rather than asking for simple single data point insights, the marketing team could inquire about campaign performance across multiple dimensions, blending data on campaign costs from one system with customer acquisition metrics from another. Data agents bridged these silos, weaving together results that previously would have required hours of manual work. Now, Finastra's marketers don't just work faster, they work smarter by having richer, more informed discussions about their strategies. These real-world scenarios lead to a deeper understanding of why data agents offer something entirely different. By reasoning through multiple data sources, they tackle challenges that traditional tools can't. Remember when businesses had to rely heavily on technical teams to gather data scattered across their systems? The process was slow, prone to miscommunication, and consumed weeks that should have been spent on analysis and decision-making. Data agents remove that bottleneck. For example, think about a retail company trying to analyze how product discounts impacted sales margins during key promotions. Copilot on its own could certainly pull metrics from a sales data set, but combining that information with warehouse inventory records and customer segmentation data for a holistic view, that's where it hits its limits. Data agents, however, handle those cross-system queries seamlessly, giving results that not only answer what happened, but also explain why it happened. The pace of decision-making in modern businesses requires this kind of flexibility. Executives aren't asking simple one-layer questions anymore. They're asking, how do supply chain delays on the West Coast impact quarterly revenue projections? Or what customer demographics are responding to our loyalty program, and how does that affect regional sales strategies? These are questions a traditional standalone tool would struggle to process because they span multiple data sets and demand reasoning, not just retrieval. Data agents bridge that gap by turning those what and how questions into actionable insights, and they do it without requiring users to reformat data, switch systems, or significantly increase their technical proficiency. One of the most visible benefits of using data agents in these scenarios is the time saved across teams. NTT Data's approach to managing headcounts, for instance, didn't just provide more accurate results, it made those results available faster. Think about how this scales across an entire organization. When each team gains back hours or days they'd usually spend consolidating siloed data, those hours can now be spent creating strategies, improving operations, or exploring new opportunities. It's a shift not just in efficiency, but in productivity as a whole. Beyond saving time, there's a deeper impact on decision-making itself. Fragmented data often leads to fragmented strategies. Teams build plans based on incomplete information or worse, competing interpretations of similar metrics. This adds risk and cost to decisions that could have been avoided with the proper tools. Data agents ensure that insights come from a single unified source, reducing the chances of these discrepancies. The city of Oslo's integrated approach perfectly illustrates this. By using data agents, local teams now focus on improving public services instead of grappling over inconsistencies between outdated systems. Let's turn to the long-term impact on business value. Having a data agent doesn't just fix immediate problems, it builds a foundation for future growth. For organizations relying on manual reporting, scaling up is inherently slow because the processes don't adapt well as complexity increases. But since data agents are designed to automate cross-system reasoning, they naturally scale as organizations grow larger or more data-intensive. For example, Finastra's marketing team was able to avoid continually expanding their analytics staff by relying on the agent's reasoning capabilities. Every user gained more leverage over their data by interacting with it directly. Without those agents, scaling up their insights would have required either more people or more manual effort. Scaling becomes seamless when your systems are intelligent enough to evolve with you. Looking at these scenarios, it's clear why data agents aren't just helpful, they're transformational. Any organization working with diverse, multi-source data will see the value almost immediately in how much faster they can move, how much better the insights are, and just how deeply it changes their approach to problem solving. What these agents do isn't simply streamline processes, they redefine the relationship between people and data, putting deeper analysis and reasoning into everyone's hands. Of course, the success of these tools depends on certain prerequisites. To deploy data agents effectively, organizations need to meet specific capacity requirements inside Microsoft Fabric. From having sufficient resources to defining access protocols for sensitive data, these technical factors pave the way for effective implementation. Next, we'll explore what organizations need in terms of setup, capacity limits, and cost considerations, so stay tuned. Capacity requirements and costs, what you need to know. Is the power of data agents worth the cost and setup requirements? That's the question every organization must answer before deciding to invest in this advanced technology. While the benefits of unified data insights and cross-source reasoning are undeniable, the barriers to entry, particularly cost and capacity requirements, can't be overlooked. Let's take a closer look at what's involved, how organizations are managing these challenges, and why it might still be worth it in the long run. First, let's address the fundamental requirement, licensing an appropriate Fabric capacity. To enable Copilot features in Power BI, you'll need an F64 capacity tier or higher. This is not just a recommendation, it's an absolute necessity to run data agents at their full potential. Without it, Copilot simply will not function. These capacities are licensed at the workspace level within Microsoft Fabric, but they can also be adjusted to associate with individual users through AI-specific capacities. For organizations that want to extend Copilot's usage beyond traditional premium workspaces or make it available to pro license holders, this flexibility provides options, but the costs can still add up fast. Capacity in this sense isn't just a technical requirement, it's deeply tied to cost. An F64 capacity starts at around $8,000 to $9,000 per month. For smaller or cost-conscious businesses, this can feel prohibitive. It's a significant commitment, particularly if they're not sure of the return on investment. When you compare this to other generative AI platforms like Databricks, which are exploring more accessible price points for similar advanced features, the financial barrier Microsoft requires can appear steep. This is where organizations must carefully evaluate their data use cases and their potential need for reasoning capabilities like those found in data agents. But what exactly are you paying for with this capacity? Copilot processes consume what Microsoft Fabric refers to as tokens. Every query you enter and every result it generates consumes a balance of input and output tokens. Input tokens are used when prompts are sent, while output tokens are counted as the model generates a response. For example, a prompt to create a DAX measure might consume 16 input tokens, but the output, including both the measure and a description of its logic, could consume an additional 45 output tokens. These tokens are converted back into capacity usage based on the time it takes to process them. What this means is that more time-intensive queries or highly complex operations will naturally cost more in terms of capacity usage and, by extension, financial cost. Monitoring this consumption is critical to manage costs effectively, which is why Microsoft provides a usage metrics app as part of Fabric. This tool allows organizations to track in real time how their data agents and Copilot features are consuming capacity tokens. With insights into which queries are using the most resources, organizations can set policies or educate users to ask more optimized questions, ultimately keeping costs under control. If your team keeps running multi-layered queries that burn through tokens, for example, you'll see those patterns emerge in the Metrics app. By understanding these analytics, not only can you monitor expenses, but you may even find ways to limit consumption while maintaining the quality of insights your data agents provide. Now, while upfront costs might feel high for some, the long-term value that data agents offer often justifies the investment. Take large organizations like multinational retail chains. Managing their data without data agents would mean relying heavily on IT teams to pull and clean data, slowing down the decision-making process. The backlog typically leads to missed opportunities or decisions made with incomplete data, mistakes that cost far more than the price of an F64 capacity. For such companies, the agent's ability to synthesize massive data sets and deliver actionable insights in seconds pays for itself in time saved and better business outcomes. But it's not just the cost that businesses need to factor into their decision, it's also geography. Right now, Copilot prompts and natural language processing are only available in a limited number of regions. Data agents can process prompts in a few areas across the US and one region in Europe. For industries that operate under strict data sovereignty regulations or require regional data residency, this poses challenges. Prompts and related data, including metadata, may have to be processed overseas, which brings up compliance concerns. Organizations in sectors where privacy laws are stringent, such as healthcare or finance, will need to weigh this as a potential deal breaker unless Microsoft expands its regional coverage. That said, many larger organizations and enterprises see these geographic limitations as a temporary hurdle. While it restricts rollout options for now, the expectation is that Microsoft will continue to add regions, mirroring the scaling approach they've taken with other Fabric features. So, if your business operates in regulated environments, it's worth keeping an eye on how Microsoft addresses these region-specific limitations over time. An additional consideration is ensuring your organization is equipped to make the most of what data agents offer. Even with the right capacity in place, organizations need to invest time and effort to configure their agents effectively and align them with their business goals. Improperly set up agents or poorly optimized queries can lead to a frustrating experience where the costs outweigh the benefits. For example, if users consistently run redundant or vague queries, it doesn't just waste tokens, It undermines the very value a data agent is supposed to bring by bloating your costs without delivering meaningful results. This is why proper training and periodic reviews of agent configurations are essential for maximizing ROI. Organizations must also consider scalability. As businesses grow and their data volumes increase, so do capacity needs. The strength of Microsoft Fabric and by extension data agents is its ability to scale alongside your requirements. For a mid-sized company rapidly expanding into new markets, having an agent that can adapt to handle increasingly complex questions using larger data sets is invaluable. That said, scaling means scaling costs as well. Businesses need to monitor whether their growth aligns with continued returns from the agents or if alternative approaches such as hybrid setups with other analytics tools might be more cost-effective in some scenarios. We also have examples to show how this cost-benefit analysis plays out in practice. Take a global supply chain management company deciding whether to move forward with Copilot and data agents. On one side, they're facing an $8,000 month bill for an F64 capacity. On the other, they're weighing how much time their analysts spend manually stitching data from warehouses, distribution centers, and customer satisfaction records. Hours that could instead go toward proactive strategy using instant automated results from a data agent. After implementing the system, their monthly cost was outweighed by dozens of additional hours unlocked across key teams and the increased decision-making speed. This is where the long-term value comes into play. High upfront costs are real, but they're often offset by efficiency gains over time. Let's not forget smaller organizations. They may approach this differently. As startups or mid-sized companies might only have limited workloads suitable for Copilot and data agents. They may use licensing flexibility to scale up only specific parts of their operations to test the waters before going all in. For instance, a mid-market e-commerce brand might start with just one F64 tier to analyze customer demand patterns and inventory trends before expanding to broader use cases. In this way, smaller organizations can explore the benefits without making an overwhelming commitment upfront. Finally, it's important to be realistic. A tool as powerful and transformative as data agents will not make sense for every organization, at least not immediately. The high costs mean businesses need a clear understanding of how they'll leverage the tool to generate ROI. But for teams ready to utilize its reasoning power and automation, the long-term benefits extend far beyond the price tag. Save time, reduced inefficiencies, and better alignment across departments often deliver value that outweighs the initial investments. So, is the power of data agents worth the cost? That depends heavily on your capacity size, your organization's needs, and how well those two align. Organizations don't just need the technical infrastructure to support data agents, they need clear goals and a strategy for how to optimize usage. Those who approach it thoughtfully will find that the systems don't just pay for themselves, they transform how they manage data, collaborate, and make decisions. Of course, cost and capacity are just part of the conversation. While today's challenges are clear, the future of data agents and their integration with Copilot hints at an even bigger shift in analytics. Let's explore how these tools are likely to evolve and why keeping an eye on their development could give your organization a competitive edge. The future of data agents and Copilot integration. What's next for data agents and Copilot in Microsoft Fabric? The roadmap reveals a vision that's as ambitious as it is exciting, with Microsoft planning significant enhancements to how these tools operate, integrate, and evolve. Right now, Copilot and data agents already offer features that make data visualization and reasoning more intuitive, but the journey is far from complete. To understand where these tools are headed, we need to look at the improvements Microsoft has laid out and consider the current hurdles they aim to overcome. One of the biggest developments on the horizon is the move to embed insights even deeper into the daily working environments of users. Soon, the same Copilot experience found in Power BI will be accessible directly within Microsoft 365 applications like Word and Excel. Imagine drafting a report or preparing a presentation, and instead of switching to Power BI to locate visuals or query your data, you'll be able to do this within the Office app itself. This doesn't just save time, it completely integrates data-driven decision-making into existing workflows. As Muhammad Ali, a leader in Fabric's development, outlines, the integration aims to provide users with a seamless experience, enabling them to ask questions and receive answers from their Power BI data within their existing workflows. Microsoft is clearly working toward making data insights something that feels as natural as editing text or sending an email. But what about making these insights even easier for businesses running custom Power BI deployments? Another step in the roadmap involves Copilot in Power BI apps offering the same full-page experience within embedded applications. This means organizations will be able to add Copilot functionality directly into their custom apps, so users won't need to know they're interacting with Power BI at all. Muhammad Ali explains, This feature is designed to extend the benefits of Copilot to a broader range of Power BI deployments, ensuring that users can access AI-driven insights regardless of how they interact with Power BI. Think of it as customization brought down to the individual user level, making business intelligence BI tools feel less like external solutions and more like native components of daily operations. Despite these advancements, there are significant gaps in today's capabilities that Microsoft must tackle as part of the next stage of Copilot's development. One such issue is the limited scope of questions Copilot can currently answer. Right now, the tool handles surface-level queries well, but struggles with deeper and more nuanced questions like explaining a sudden spike in operational costs or identifying the definitive cause behind data trends. This is something Microsoft is already addressing in future updates. As Ali noted, improvements to answer coverage are planned, enabling Copilot to handle more complex and nuanced questions such as those involving explanations of increases or decreases in data. By extending this level of analytical depth, Copilot will be able to make the leap from being a task-focused assistant to becoming a truly strategic tool. Another limitation is the lack of conversational history within Copilot queries. Conversations don't carry over query to query, meaning users often have to rephrase or restart their searches each time they follow up with a new question. This disrupts the workflows of users who need iterative, layered insights rather than one-off answers. While there's no official announcement on resolving this yet, this feature gap is a clear area ripe for future development. From a user experience standpoint, conversational context is key to creating a more natural, human-like interaction with data, and experts predict that as Copilot continues to evolve, features like conversational memory will become a priority. And of course, there's the question of data types. While Fabric excels in handling structured data, unstructured data such as documents, PDFs, or multimedia files remains largely on the outside. That's set to change as Microsoft aims to expand Fabric's support for unstructured data sources within OneLake. Nelly Gustafsson, a key voice in the Fabric design team, explains, the Fabric Data Agents roadmap includes expanding support for various data types, including unstructured data, such as documents and files in OneLake. For businesses working in industries like legal, healthcare, or media, this is a huge leap forward. It represents the ability to reason over contracts, scanned documents, or video transcripts just as intelligently as it does with numbers and metrics. In doing so, it radically widens the scope of AI-powered data analysis. An equally ambitious direction for these tools involves user personalization. Here's where things become truly transformative. Copilot is on the path to becoming more tailored to individual users by learning from behavior and adapting responses over time. This will involve analyzing user interactions and preferences to customize the information provided, explains Ali. For example, a sales analyst working on quarterly forecasts might frequently ask for comparative metrics across regions. Over time, Copilot could recognize these patterns and proactively offer visualizations or data points aligned with those recurring needs. This shift from reactive questioning to predictive user-centric assistance is an indicator of where AI tools are headed. Instead of just following instructions, they'll anticipate them. The integration of Copilot in custom applications further adds flexibility, especially for developers building tailored solutions for employees or customers. Muhammad Ali highlights, embedded support is also on the roadmap, with plans to enhance the integration of Copilot for SaaS and PaaS embedding scenarios. By embedding Copilot into custom software, developers can create analytics tools that feel truly native, wrapped in the interface and branding of their applications. For example, customer service representatives accessing a ticket support platform could use Copilot to query historical customer patterns without ever leaving the app they're using. By meeting users where they already work, this feature demonstrates Microsoft's effort to make advanced analytics as frictionless as possible. There's also a broader trend across analytics that reflects the untapped potential of AI-driven insights. Experts predict that as tools like Copilot advance, real-time decision-making will shift from reactive to proactive and predictive. The ability to anticipate shifts in markets, identify risks before they happen, and capitalize on opportunities faster will give businesses that embrace these advancements a critical edge. Early adopters of systems where reasoning and dynamic prediction intersect are likely to see sizable outcomes such as increased operational efficiency and better targeted growth strategies. This future also underscores the importance of staying ahead for data professionals and businesses alike. The sheer pace of AI's advancement means that while current tools are solving many challenges, they're also creating new norms for what's expected. Just a few years ago, getting a meaningful chart or statistic on demand from a BI tool was considered cutting edge. Today, it's the baseline. Tomorrow, systems that reason over unstructured and structured data, adapt intuition based on user interactions, and provide predictive insights will set the benchmark. Falling behind means not only missing out on useful tools, but potentially struggling to compete in a world where decisions must be faster, smarter, and more accurate than ever. To prepare for this future, it's critical for data professionals to remain informed and adaptable. Knowing which features are coming, how they work, and the kinds of value they offer helps organizations make smarter technology investments and rollouts. It's also a good reminder that tools like Copilot and data agents aren't static. They'll continue to evolve, driven by the hands-on usage and the gaps businesses identify during real-world applications. Whether it's through learning how to configure data agents effectively or ensuring the team understands where personalization can add value, professionals who apply these tools early position themselves as leaders in their industry, able to grow alongside AI rather than reacting to it too late. While Microsoft's roadmap showcases exciting advancements, it also emphasizes the strength of Fabric's long-term vision. With deeper embedding, enhanced analytical capabilities, and the integration of unstructured data on the horizon, the lines between tools, users, and data ecosystems will blur even further. What began as tools to enhance productivity are quickly becoming indispensable collaborators in both strategic and operational decisions. This conversation about the future isn't just about technology, it's about readiness, adaptability, and the opportunities waiting for those who embrace change. And speaking of opportunities, this leads us back to the bigger question: why is adopting these tools now the smartest move professionals can make? Let's recap the key takeaways to tie everything together. Data agents, paired with PowerBI Copilot, are redefining business intelligence by bridging the gap between complex data and actionable insights. This isn't just about faster reporting, it's about transforming how businesses operate. With Copilot users completing tasks 52% faster and achieving 36% more accurate insights, the shift toward AI-driven analytics is already proving its value. These tools empower professionals to approach data confidently, answering deeper questions with precision. If you want to stay ahead in this evolving landscape, explore Microsoft Fabric and Power BI Copilot today. The future of data analytics is here, and it's waiting for you to take advantage.
That's the wrap on this section of the Secrets Class. Show your source of smarter like Microsoft 365. We hope you picked up something new that you're displaying to take back to your digital workspace. If you enjoyed today's show, be sure to subscribe, leave us a review, and share it with your colleagues, your team, or anyone navigating the Microsoft ecosystem. Got questions or a topic you'd love us to cover? Reach out to us anytime. We're here to connect, collaborate, and grow with you until next time. Stay secure, stay productive, and stay inspired. Thanks for listening to the